Ready? Play.
Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, whatever the time is, wherever you are. We are here for another episode of Talking Tennis, but this one is unique. I was going to say quite unique, but I don't think unique exists or quite unique exists. And who better to talk about an alternative look at the year of 2022 in tennis than Mr. Alternative himself? We have Jamie Dubon. Nice of you to-
Hi.
How you doing today? All right?
Yeah, I'm good, thanks. I'm looking forward to doing this with you, John. It should be a good one.
Should be a good one. Should be a good one. Some might say it might make the top 100 episodes of the year.
Of talking tennis. Well, let's hope so. I mean, there's a lot of competition, so
top 100, top 200. Maybe we'll do a series on episodes of the year. I've got a series on matches of the year. Maybe we'll do one on episodes of the year, and who knows, this may feature. But let's not get too egotistical here. But let's get to it. It's been a different year. I guess every year we say, well, that was strange, that was odd. But I have to say, the first image on the screen. Hi, Ashley. Nice of you to join us, by the way. Get your thoughts in the live chat on what we're doing, and make sure you hit that like button, by the way. It's been quite an unusual year, but I think this has been particularly unusual, particularly when we come across our first topic, which is, Jamie, here's a little clue for you. Maybe I'll give you a second clue, audience. Jamie doesn't need any more clues, of course. Maybe that'll give you another idea. And then we have this surreal moment, by the way, of which I thought was particularly unusual, of him practicing and helicopters above the look. We've got. So I don't know. Can you see these images on the screen?
Yeah, can see
exactly. This particular image here of him. This is how crazy tennis has got and how crazy the issue got. Of course, what are we talking about? We're talking about Novak Djokovic's non-entry into Australia. But I don't know why. This image, for me, was perhaps the most... I mean, there was some pretty surreal things, but this was particularly odd, that we've actually got helicopters above the Rod Laver Arena. Tell me some of your thoughts on this.
Yeah, I mean, just looking at that, it's almost like the famous O.J. Simpson helicopter, isn't it? Where they're sort of tracking him along the sort of motorway, seeing what he's up to and where he's going. And I guess that's kind of what the feeling was around sort of Djokovic at that point, certainly with the Australian authorities, right? What he was doing, where he was, whether he was going to be allowed in. So yeah, I mean, you say every year is a strange year, but I struggle to think of a year that's started quite as strangely as this.
Exactly, I couldn't agree more. I mean, there was just also the images of him, for example. We've got this one on here, and then these protests as well, like Free Novak and all of this stuff. It was all a bit unusual, let's say, for basically. Their favorite player. I understand that you desperately want him to play the Australian Open, especially as he's gunning for a 10th crown and probably would. In fact, he would have obviously been the favorite for it. But it all got pretty surreal. I also found, I don't know if you saw any of the court case or the trial. Sorry, that was particularly odd. There were the judge was particularly fierce. I remember thinking, my goodness me, he's scaring me somewhat. And then, of course, Novak was allowed to stay in Australia. Then he wasn't. He was in and out more than a hokey-cokey, if anyone understands that reference. Good for you. Any final thoughts on this whole issue?
Yeah, I mean, it's as you say, it was kind of it was a very complex issue, I guess, wasn't it? And I guess the problem was that, as you say, the sort of Novak fans who sort of felt really strongly were kind of seeing it quite black and white. And we're coming down on the fact that he should be allowed to play. I think it seems such a long time ago now. So just thinking back, I think I'm just feeling relieved that it seems like we're not going to get anything like that again in January, because it was an absolute farce. And I think if we're relieved, I think Craig Tiley's going to be even more relieved.
Yeah, Craig Tiley's super happy, desperate to get his man into Australia. And this year he won't have any issues. We're going to get into the topic of fandom. How can anybody get upset with that? Well, we'll soon find out. Any final top points? Because I've got a few things to move on to anyway.
No, go for it.
Good. Listen, before we get into fandom, I also want to get into a new phenomenon that I think may even be a surprise for you, Jamie, and that is the YouTube fandom. Okay, we're going to be talking about Rafans and Nole and I don't know whatever else is out there, Fedal, etc. We're going to get into that in a minute, but we've got some YouTube fandom going on, and none more so than among the YouTube tennis channels. Take a look at this.
Hey, welcome back, tennis fans.
Boys go out walking around and talking things through.
Keep a tight perimeter.
Yes, sirree. Well.
I've had enough of you, Man-Tooth. This is gonna end right here, right now.
You want to dance, Ronnie? I want a polka. All right, let's do this. Hey! If you're gonna have a fight, then don't forget Channel 2 News with me.
I'm Gil Gross.
You dirtbags have been in third place for 5 years.
Yeah? Well, you're about to be in dead place. Not so fast, you ingrates! ¿Cómo están, bitches? Spanish language news is here. Tonight's top story. The sewers run red.
Now, before we do this, let's go over the ground rules. Rule number 1.
And I'm gonna go Rafa.
Of course.
And that's it! Now let's do this!
There we go. I thought I'd just have a little teaser there before we get into the rough. And what's going on with the tennis YouTube world? There are thousands of there's, by the way, I think there's no more tennis puns left. We've had, we've got breakpoint, we've got baselines, we've got serves, we've got second serves, we've got match point. I don't know, behind the net, in the net, round the net. I think we've got no more tennis puns left. The new people that are beginning, by the way, podcast channels, magazines, websites, they must be going through the dictionary of tennis puns left. We're even getting them reversed now. So it's like tennis talk, talking tennis, break point, point break, etc. I think we're really getting quite desperate on the names.
Well, they might even have to put numbers at the end as well now. So they might be talking tennis too, which doesn't sound quite as good.
Yeah, right.
Well done for getting in there with the talking tennis. That clip's great. Yeah, I think that's. I've seen that a few times now. That's probably. I think the viewers have probably seen it. It's probably one of the most viewed clips, isn't it?
It is. It's got beyond 500, which for me is pretty good. It's probably top 20. If you exclude the live watch-alongs, it's probably top 10. Yeah. So right. I've made over 200 videos, by the way. I know you won't all be counting them, but some of them were better than others. I hope at least one amongst the 200 was okay. Listen, let's move on. I want to speak about fandom now because I think this has taken on a new level. I didn't think it could get any more insane than it was before, but this year, of course, with the Novak issue, it has gone to new levels. Let's have a quick look at some of the examples that I want to speak about. Well, first of all, I want to share this tweet here. Let me just share my screen before I bring it up. Here we go. I think this sums it up better than anything else, which is a lovely, very funny tweet from Scott Barkley. Make sure you give him a follow on Twitter because he's brilliant. And he's been making fun of this fandom all year long. There are so many gems that he's come up with, but this is also one of my favorites, and I saw it a couple of weeks ago. World peace can only truly be achieved if Novak Djokovic fans and Rafa Nadal fans come together, shake hands, and agree that while both of their favorites are great, Andy Murray is greater.
I mean, I couldn't have written it better than Scott. I completely agree. I mean, yeah, it's obviously crazy, isn't it? Sort of the kind of extremes, I guess, that sort of some people kind of the views that some people have and stuff. But it's also great, isn't it? I think that, you know, certainly kind of
I'll just start putting the beam up now. I should have put it up before, but I'm going to put it up now. Anyway, keep going, fandom.
I was just saying, I mean, you know, certainly before Twitter, I mean, you know, kind of watching tennis, it was hard really to kind of know about. Obviously, you'd sort of see it on telly, but you wouldn't maybe quite realise how partisan people were. So it's great. Yeah, I think it's and it does bring a new dimension to supporting your favourite player.
It does. But some of the extremes, I mean, basically, I think that your favorite player could basically urinate on centre court at Wimbledon, and there would be some justification for it by all the fans, and they would just. And by the way, it's on both sides, because it's let's move Federer out of this. A, he's retired, but I don't think their fans are quite as antagonistic, let's say. But I mean, basically, your favorite player could do whatever. And they will support him, and they will, their favorite player can apologize, and then they'll be like, "Look, this is really good. How he's so." Nadal fans love to say, "Oh, he's so humble." Djokovic fans love to say how generous and friendly he is. And by the way, so here's a couple of tweets here we've got from let's call him a super fan, Pavi G. I've spoken to this is regarding the end of year sportsmanship awards, by the way. Okay. So I spoke to a couple of ATP Tour players who said they'd never, ever vote for the Sportsmanship Award, as the short list of 4 players is never anybody they would vote for, so they abstain. This is why the ATP never disclosed how many of their players actually voted. We've also got another one here regarding with Djokovic helping Sinner. He's highlighting the fact that Rafa didn't help Zverev and, in fact, asked if he could go to the bathroom. If anyone thinks it's just Novak fans, not at all. The Rafa fans love it too. If Nadal had the ATP Tour Finals on indoor clay, we'd have more of this. And Rafa has to do it the hard way, 22, one slam a year on clay. Listen, guys, my message to both of you on both sides of the fence. I'm actually straddled across the net right now, whilst some of you guys are urinating in one corner of the second court, and the other guys are urinating in the other. What am I saying to you? Isn't 21 or 22 Grand Slams enough for you? Isn't it enough? What do you care about the Sportsmanship Award? If you've got Scott needs to come back in and say, listen, we all know Alcaraz is greater because he's got more sportsmanship awards.
It's great, isn't it? And as you say, people can kind of justify almost anything, but also as well, I think if it's it goes so far that if, say, kind of, you know, somebody was, and Nadal or Djokovic was to urinate on the court, it would be the other one's fault as well.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah. Listen, I mean, whichever one did it, if it was Rafa, it would be, well, this is because he's only ever won it there twice. And if it was Novak, it's because the fans never gave him the respect that he deserved. So yeah.
But this is brilliant, right? This is why it's kind of this is why even the GOAT race is still so compelling, because there are so many different arguments. And yeah,
that's right. But whatever you do, if your man is Rafa, if your man is Novak, or even if your man is Federer in this race, you will find the narrative that suits you best. And there's, but in terms of actually supporting your player, I have no problem with that. You know, I completely understand that when Novak fans are watching Rafa play in a major, particularly if Novak is absent, they obviously desperately want him to lose. And I understand completely the other way around as well. It's just normal. But I do find it a little bit tiresome on Twitter. And I even think that maybe the Rafa fans, no, they're equally as bad at this. They will just find a narrative and to suit their player in terms of the statistics. And listen, the race isn't done yet. Let's talk about this. Let's have a 10-year ceasefire. That's what I'm calling for today on Talking Tennis. A 10-year ceasefire until both have long since retired, although who knows with Novak's body, he may still be playing in 10 years. And even then, by the way, Novak could have 40 slams and Rafa could still be on 22. And Rafa fans will be like, even if there were more clay court tournaments.
That's it. Yeah, exactly. So you're calling for a ceasefire. Sorry, John.
Yeah, no, it's the last I'll be doing that voice because otherwise I won't have one left.
Yeah, so a ceasefire of 10 years where they kind of gather all their arguments and then come back in 10 years fully armoured.
maybe put the arms down in the middle of a field somewhere, put all of the arguments down, go away and return in 10 years to how we feel about it then.
I mean, just on that as well, obviously, I'm sure that the subscribers to this channel, John, know about your slight allegiance. And mine as well. We're obviously big. We are big Rafa fans, but I think even for me as well, you know, there was always kind of a bit of a thinking that, you know, kind of there obviously is only one clay court Grand Slam a year. You know, Novak has his 2 hard courts, but the problem is the more Wimbledons that Novak is assembling, it's hard. You can't really. I guess that kind of argument is almost dying, isn't it? Because he hasn't kind of got one favourite surface now. He's got 2 almost.
Yeah, absolutely. By the way, this is a surreal moment as well, which has just occurred via WhatsApp. A friend of mine, by the way, has just tweeted. Sent me a WhatsApp. He said, "You seem to be pumping out the videos a lot at the moment. You must be bored." my good friend Stephen there, I don't know if he's watching right now, but anyway, whatever, very funny, Stephen. I'll address that later. But,
I mean, there needs to be a comment, right? No point sending a WhatsApp. There needs to be a comment on the video.
WhatsApp, Stephen, get in the comments. Look, lovely Ashley saying hello here. Get in the comments. And by the way, anybody else that's tuning in right now, make sure you get in the comment section. If you're watching this retrospectively, wonderful. We also welcome you also. But make sure you hit that like button below the video. Get in the comments section below and let us know if you agree or disagree with any of our takes. But also maybe we've missed 1 or 2 interesting moments because I'm sure there's been plenty around. Listen, let's move on from fandom. I want to address a couple of other things that have occurred at various points this year, and that is retirements. We've had a few retirements, some more shocking than others. I would particularly say the retirement of this lady was a shock. I don't think any of us saw that one coming. And by the way, I think this photo was taken about the day before she retired. That's how young she was when she announced her retirement. What did you make of, let's take Ash Barty. What did you make of her sudden retirement, by the way?
Yeah, it was so out of the blue, wasn't it? It felt like such a blow to tennis at the time as well, because, you know, I don't think I can really think of it. I might be sort of missing something here, but I can't really think of another example of when someone sort of bowed out at the top like that. You know, seemingly with kind of the world at her feet in terms of what she could achieve. You know, so yeah, it was shocking, and I think her presence has been missed. Although I guess the Iga Swiatek has almost taken on the mantle, isn't she, from her? But having said that, I think that almost kind of makes her absence all the more sort of palpable, because it would have been great to see them 2 at it as well at the same time.
And of course, what's just struck me, which I've just put up on the screen there, is that the nature of the 3... Listen, there have been others that have retired this year. Petkovic, I think, retired, and I'm sure there's many others. But the manner of the way these 3 retired being so different. We had Ash Barty announcing it in the middle of February, 2 weeks after she's just sealed the Australian Open, or 3 weeks after the Australian Open win, and just coming from nowhere at the age of 25. Federer and Serena, of course, are at very different ends of their career, but also ending it in completely contrasting ways. Federer's body, unfortunately, finally has given up on him, the knee in particular. And of course, he had to do it in a very touching, I thought, a very appropriate and unbelievable way to announce his retirement in the way he left that 5-minute video, which every single word was spoken with affection and just said correctly and perfectly and with such warmth and sadness as well. But I think, by the way, people even got angry about that. People even got angry about the Federer. What's going on, people? Why are you so angry? People got angry because, and I'm guessing they're not Federer fans, they were angry with the way he announced it. They thought he should have done it differently, like on TV or with a video, or Oh, dearie, dearie,
I'm sure the Novak fans weren't happy that he was holding hands with Rafa, right, as well. Probably wanted Novak to be holding hands somewhere in there. So.
I know. They all want to get involved, of course. And anyway, listen, I want to just touch upon something that happened, funny enough, just yesterday regarding Federer. And that was this interview he gave on TV in the US. Did you hear the funny story about him trying to enter Wimbledon?
Yeah, it was great. It was about a 4 or 5 minute story, wasn't it? But it was
this meme could work almost if we just get Roger in. If we just do that, that sort of works because what happened?
So Roger kind of I think he was in London. We know that it was Wimbledon wasn't happening, but he thought it'd be a good idea just to head down to the All England club for have a nice cup of tea and just relax in there for a bit. So he went down there with a friend. He thought. Wimbledon's not on. I've not been down there before when the tournament's not on. This will be lovely. So he got down there and then he was stopped, wasn't he, by one of the security guards. And they said, no, you need to have your membership card to come in. And Roger said, membership card? Said, no, normally I'm here when the tournament's on. And he said, no, you're going to need your membership card. And then he kind of, I think he sort of, he got a bit confused, because he thought he'd be able to come in. He wanted to say to his friend, "Don't worry, I've got this," but he couldn't say it.
It was his coach, actually, Severin Ludi.
His coach. Okay. But yes, I think in the end it kind of went on for so long that Federer kind of had to say, "Look, I've won this 8 times. Are you going to let me in?"
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, this is a nice little picture. I remember seeing a picture of him at Wimbledon a couple of weeks ago, thinking that's kind of odd that he's there. But yeah, it was kind of funny, and I think my favourite moment was when somebody says to him, because he then goes to a different entrance and to try and get in, because he gets back in the car with Severin Ludi, and he basically says, it's not working out, and he says, let's go and try a different entrance, and they did, and they got in through the other entrance, but largely because some dude says, Mr. Federer, can I have a selfie? And he's like, yeah, because he's very quickly thinking. Then everybody realizes who I am, that, okay, anyway, but it is funny. And in fact, it's just funny. Okay, listen, Serena as well, her retirement, the manner of which that she released the news via a Vogue article that she penned. I think as well with her retirement, there's still, I know, and I completely get it. She doesn't want to use the R word because she sees it as an evolution, but she's still being super vague about whether that really is it. Is that a US Open glass you're drinking from?
Of course it is, John. It's all like There you go.
By the way, I don't know if this is an upgrade, but it is pretty cool. But yeah, as I've said before, mine is in much worse shape, but I've still got it anyway. It's still hanging on in there.
Nice, yeah. It's US Open 2016 now, right? 6 years old. So yeah. 6
years ago we were there. Yeah. Tell us about Serena Williams and your thoughts on what's going on there.
Yeah, as you say, it kind of she's kind of leaving it quite open. I mean, it was as you say, everyone kind of retired in a different way, didn't they? Ash Barty retired at the very top. Federer didn't really have his kind of, well, he had his farewell at the Laver Cup, but maybe not in the manner he would have liked. Serena at least got, she got a couple of matches at the US Open. She had that sort of farewell. But you just know that there's going to be something inside of it saying, look, that's not enough. That's not the way I want to go out. I don't want to go out losing, in the, losing after a couple of wins. I want to go out at the very top. So, I think that might be kind of where she's thinking that she kind of still wants to come back. So we shall see.
She keeps teasing us as well, like hitting the practice courts with Venus, telling everyone that she can't wait to hit a ball again. Even recently, she's like, game on. I mean, who knows what game on means? Maybe she's just watching some pickleball and she's getting excited. Listen, I'm going to do a little thing on pickleball, and then I'm going to hand over to you, Jamie, and let me hear some of your alternative moments of the year. But maybe she's watching pickleball, and maybe she's going to, I've just had an idea. She comes back. She announces it on Twitter. I'm coming back to the sport that I love. And she starts playing pickleball. Twitter will melt down.
Also,
It will melt down faster than it would if Elon Musk ever took it over. Oh, yes.
I also wonder, just quickly, John, as well, with the kind of these great sports people. I think they do sort of struggle with kind of not being in the limelight as much, and we've kind of seen that, haven't we, with Cristiano Ronaldo? So I do wonder whether a Piers Morgan interview on Talk TV might be back in as well.
That would, that I can imagine that. But yeah, listen. So she comes back and she plays pickleball. I mean, the Serena fans will obviously stick with her and go with it, but the rest of the tennis world, especially the traditionalists, will be outraged. Again, maybe I'm missing the point here, Jamie, and I do think this is a stateside thing rather than a global thing, but I don't quite get the outrage either about it. Maybe I'm missing something and there's something more untoward. I see it as basically something where anyone can play it. You don't need quite the same level of I don't think dexterity is with fingers, but basically the body mechanics that make tennis so difficult in so many ways that separates the great from the mere mortals, if you like. And I think that will still continue. And I think as a TV viewing thing, pickleball is not fun. But if it's just getting people out there hitting a ball, what the hell? And I don't know. Have you got any thoughts on it? I know it is a North American thing, really, rather than anything else.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I don't really see the harm either. I guess I'm just wondering whether there's kind of must be a worry, mustn't there, that kind of the interest in tennis may dwindle somewhat. I mean, we've also got padel, haven't we, as well, which is very popular in parts of Europe, in Spain especially. Yeah, and that's been around for probably about over 10 years.
Really well.
Exactly. Yeah. So I don't see why pickleball can't be the same. Similar to padel is kind of, you don't need maybe the same stamina or the same physical strength or speed to play it. So I'm not really kind of wholly worried by it. I think, look, it's another racket sport. It's another racket sport that's fun to play. So I don't really see a big issue there.
I mean, although people watching will be saying to themselves, well, you mentioned paddle and how popular that is in Spain, and Spain are not producing good tennis players anymore. So there we go. So that's case closed. And I'm sure people on Twitter, if they hate pickleball, they will find a narrative that suits it. Although I do suggest they do look away from Spain in terms of how they're doing in terms of tennis right now. Go on, Jamie. Give us some of you mentioned a few things that you picked up on throughout the year. Let's hear about it.
Yeah, sure. I've written a few here. I guess I'll go with sort of 2 or 3 memorable moments. So I guess one thing has kind of been the I don't know if I call it the bromance between Rafa and Casper Ruud, or just it's a bit strange, isn't it? I think
father-son sort of. Father-son.
Yeah. There was I don't know if you saw it. They asked Casper Ruud a few days ago about kind of if there was one moment in your tennis career that you would change. What would it be? And he thought for ages and ages, and he couldn't think of anything. He said, "Well, I can't think of anything for myself, but one tennis match I'd like to change." With Rafa sitting next to him, he said, "I'd like to change that 2012 Australian Open final when you lost to Novak." And he said, "I was probably sadder than you on the day," and it kind of just sort of sums up the I don't know, the bromance, maybe the brotherhood between the two. Casper kind of really, really looks up to him, but I don't know if that's kind of really conducive to also beating him in the biggest tournaments.
I don't think so either. But listen, the Novak fans melt down over that too, which is nuts. Listen, what I found is, and I was talking to the authors of the Roger Federer Effect a couple of weeks ago about this, and they were just saying that I don't think it's intentional from Roger or even Novak or Rafa, but the friendships and the respect that they garner from the younger generation does damage the younger generation, that they are almost in awe of them. I remember some player, I think it was Nagal, the guy from India, took to the court to Federer a couple of years ago, and he was just talking before the match about how grateful he was to be on the same court as Roger. And I remember Catherine from the tennis podcast was like, he's lost before he even took the court. So yeah, I do think it does damage them, and I don't think it's a good idea. Go on, what's the next one?
And just on that, there's also Berrettini and Roger as well. I think there was a bit of a thing there at Wimbledon, wasn't there? The same sort of thing.
And then, of course, Roger pulled out of the match with Berrettini at the French Open, so maybe there's something going on there. Anyway, go on, let's go.
Yes, he did. I guess just in terms of retirements, yeah, as well. You mentioned kind of the big three, shall we say? But there've also been kind of a number of other kind of quite notable retirements as well. I guess perhaps especially on the men's side. I mean, we've had Del Potro that's kind of bowed out, which was very emotional, very sad when he did that. Same with Songa and Simone as well. So we've lost quite a few. We've lost 3 absolute big hitters, and then we've lost a couple of medium hitters as well, from the men's side especially.
Yeah. Have you hung up your racket yet, Jamie, or are you still hanging on in there?
No, not yet. I thought it'd be one too many kind of big names to bow out, so I'm carrying on this year.
Yeah. Go on, keep going.
Keep going. Yeah, there was the what else do we have? So we also had a funny moment when I think it was early on towards the start of the year. Riley Opelka had a bird poo on his cap.
Yeah.
And I guess kind of, and he wanted to. He said, "Look, a bird's just." He didn't use the word poo. I think he used something a bit more expletive. But
crap shit. We can say.
Yeah, birds just shat on my cap, and he's like, "I want to change it. I want to take it off." And the umpire said, "Well, you can't. You've only got another cap. You're not allowed to wear that logo." He said, "You can't change your cap." And he was like, a bird's just pooed on my cap. Of course I'm going to change it. And he was like, no. So he's ended up having to put the cap on, and he's almost like, you can see the bird, you can see the bird poo on it, and it's just gone on and on. And then what's happened in the end is a ball boy has lent him his cap. So Riley's got a new cap from a ball boy, and I think the cap with the poo on was allowed to be discarded. That was a funny moment.
By the way, on Riley Opelka, okay, I know he rubs people up the wrong way, and understandably so sometimes. I do think he's a bright guy, but he did say something a bit, well, whatever. Use the adjective of your choice. But what he highlighted yesterday was he was highlighting the fact that people in the media always talk. Everyone in the media, I think it is. Let me just get this correct. So he says, I said it correctly. He says, no surprise coming from someone in the tennis media, they tend to make some stuff up. But then somebody pointed out, or Vanch pointed out on Twitter, you work in the media, right? Because of course he was covering the Labour Cup, and Riley's like, yeah, well, I was watching Federer's last match. I don't have just a small podcast, which I thought was a bit unbecoming of a guy who's in the top 40 in the world. Who's working on tennis TV, etc. So Riley, just chill out on that one. I would suggest, and it's a pity because I would love to have Riley on the show, but I guess with that last comment, he will never be coming on talking tennis. But the olive branch is there, Riley. I think we can have a really good. Yeah, he's lost.
You have spoken to him at Wimbledon before, haven't you, John? Well,
spoken to is a slight exaggeration, but yeah, I attended a press conference and I posed a couple of questions, and he made some really interesting points, I thought, and. Listen, I'm a big fan of not throwing the baby out the bathwater. That's the English expression, meaning it's a case by case situation. Just because somebody says something that doesn't make sense on one topic, they could quite easily say something intelligent on another. A bit like the fandom we just talked about. Not everything is black and white. Not everything from your man is correct, if you like, or woman. And I would certainly add that with Riley. And some of the things Riley says, I agree with. Some of them, I couldn't disagree more with.
And a bit like me and you, I guess, in the channel, I guess it would be nice to do some, I don't know if you thought of this, but do some outtakes or bloopers from the channel at some point, right?
Jamie, whose channel is this, by the way? Is this a coup? Is this a coup? And you're getting people in the live chat will be coming, great idea, Jamie. And then suddenly next week, I'm not here and it's you with the mic and Fridays with Jamie, bloopers, etc.
That's the dream, being in that hot seat.
Did I send you the blooper recently of me with Fernando Verdasco?
Yes. Yeah. That's good.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm going to be able to get that up during the show, but if I can, I will. Listen, let's move on. What's your next one?
So I've also got. Did you see Alexander Bublik in Eastbourne with his racket?
No, but I know he does some odd things. Go on, tell us.
Does some odd things, yeah. So he lost a point, and he sort of, it wasn't a smash. He just kind of, he almost just sort of threw his racket on the floor a little bit. It bounced up, and he caught it. And the umpire said, don't do that. That's a warning. You're going to damage the grass court. Of course, Bublik didn't take that very well. And he said, "What do you mean? All I did was this. I dropped it. I dropped the racket." So for about the next 10 minutes, he just sort of spent the whole time just demonstrating to the umpire how he just sort of dropped the racket on the floor, on the court. All of the crowd were laughing, and he just would not stop. And yeah, it was pretty crazy. I mean, I think, you know, they both had a point. I think that, you know, he didn't just drop it; he did throw it on the ground. Also, the umpire was being a bit too strict with the rules, I would say. But Bublik also could have toned it down. But it was just great how he kept demonstrating what he'd done, and the umpire said, "Don't do that," and he said, "No, I'm going to keep doing it to show you what I did." That was good.
Yeah, I do think that Riley, because he also had that. Sorry, getting Riley up because my love with Bublik now. I'm getting it all wrong. Yeah, I do think Bublik is a particular character. I remember another match where I think he sort of just gave up on a point, or he did something. Oh, that's right. He twisted his racket round and tried to use the handle of the racket to win the point, and he lost the point. And it was such a huge moment in the match. I think it was like break point or a crucial moment at the beginning of the third set.
Yeah. I think that rings a bell. I can't remember when it was, but yeah, he's definitely a character, an orthodox player, but also a fun guy to watch. You know, he's going to bring something different, don't you?
Yeah, exactly. Anyway, I think you've got one or two more, haven't you?
Yeah, sure. I mean, it's kind of been. Well, I guess less of sort of funny points, but just kind of a bit of an observation, really, that, you know, it's also been a year where we've kind of seen, you know, some players almost maybe come back from the dead, or, you know, you've been like, hey, well, where have they been for the last year, 18 months? And they've made really kind of deep runs in Grand Slam. So, you know, for instance, it was nice seeing Goffin make the quarterfinals of Wimbledon. He hadn't been relevant for a couple of years, I would say, certainly over the whole pandemic.
That's not coming on the show either. You're just saying he's not been relevant for a couple of years. And we've alienated Opelka and Goffin. Who's next on our list?
I guess we had sort of Monfils making quite a deep run in Australia, which was a bit of a surprise. And then also on the women's side as well, you know, we had Elise Cornet, you know, making her deepest run ever at a slam, you know, at the age of 32, which was really interesting. And I guess kind of Simona Halep, maybe not quite as much sort of coming back from the dead, but also it's a bit of a surprise to see her kind of win Toronto and make the semis at Wimbledon. So I guess we've had that kind of these runs from players who are maybe not being as talked about quite as much as they were in the past, and that's been really nice to see, alongside the obvious kind of youngsters who are making their marks for the first time.
Yeah, sure, definitely. And I know you've got at least one more left, because you haven't mentioned one that I've actually got. I've got prepped for. Here we go. Let's put this one up on the screen. Can you see what I got?
Okay. Yeah, Chapeaugate.
Yeah.
So this was in I think
Chapeaugate and Novak Gate, but let's talk about Chapeaugate. What is that?
Chapeaugate. Yeah. I think it was in Rome. I think it was. Yeah. Where he kind of there was a bit of an iffy line call, wasn't there? He's the umpire's come down and he's actually kind of climbed over the net onto the other side of the net. And the umpire said to him, you know, what are you doing? You can't, you know, you can't do that. You've broken the rule. And I think so. Was it a point penalty in the end for doing that?
It may
have been a point penalty. Yeah. So he's kind of arguing with the umpire. You know, I've just come over to show you. He said, look, I know what you've done, but you're not allowed to do it. He said, this is rubbish. You know, bring the supervisor. Of course, the supervisor says the same thing. All the crowd are booing. And then he just turns. This is something you very rarely see in interaction with the crowd, this extreme. He turns around and he says, shut the F up to the whole crowd. Yeah. It's just amazing to watch. But I'm sure Shapovalov must be quite embarrassed looking back.
Yeah, right. Anyway, listen, just by the way, there is I forgot to do it earlier on the Federer retirement. There was some lovely outpourings of emotion regarding that. We obviously saw the images with him and Rafa, but also some lovely touching messages from various people from the tennis world, both past and present. And this one particularly caught me. I'm just going to play it to you, just the audio anyway.
Roger, Pistol here. Hope you're doing well. Not really sure where to begin, so I'll just start from.
Just see if this one works. Actually, I'm going to just a second. I want to. Okay, cool. Let's see if this works.
From the very beginning.
Give me a second. I'm going to have to just upload this again because the crucial bit is right at the beginning. It's Pete Sampras, by the way, and it's great to hear from the legend because he rarely sort of gets involved in these kind of things and pretty much stays out of tennis, as his right, in my opinion. People get angry about that, by the way. What's Pete Sampras doing? Why isn't he getting more involved? Let the guy do whatever he wants. You know, he won 13, I think it is, Grand Slams. But anyway, just here we go. This is his audio.
Hey, Roger, Pistol here. Hope you're doing well.
It's missing. But listen, the thing is, he begins his intro by saying, "Hi, Roger, Pistol here, Pistol here." And I'm thinking, who calls themselves by their nickname? Especially when it's Pistol. Don't just call yourself Pete. Like, I call myself John. I love it when people give me nicknames, mostly friendly ones. I'm fine with it. People call me Silky if I went to school, Johnny Boy, Johnny, whatever, you know, friendly terms, JBS meaning Johnny Boy Silk, whatever. They're all very affectionate. But I don't say, "Oh, Roger, really nice to meet you, by the way. How's it going? I heard about your Wimbledon thing, by the way, not been able to get in. That was pretty funny." And he says, "Yeah, nice to meet you. But what's your name, by the way?" "Oh, you can call me Johnny Boy." You know,
yeah,
what he's doing. And then at the end, he also says Pistol again. And anyway, it's a pity that audio didn't work, because right at the beginning of the audio, he says Pistol here. And it's like, oh.
Maybe, yeah, it's strange. I mean, I don't know if he kind of wants to differentiate himself from other Petes, but yeah, I don't know. It doesn't make much sense.
No, it doesn't. Okay, anyway, have you got any more? Because I've got one or two more I want to get through before we bring this to a close.
Yeah, just quickly, I guess nice to see Kokkinakis win a title. That was really nice at the start of the year. And then, yeah, I think that's it. Yeah.
All right. Well, I've got one or two more, as I said. Let's bring this one up, okay? And I think the image here should tell you everything, especially if you have any kind of affection for tennis. And it is this one. Jamie, tell us about your memories of this moment.
Yeah. So this is the final, right? Yeah. Okay, so he's kind of he's getting more and more frustrated, isn't he, Nick Kyrgios? And he's kind of as he does, you know, he singled out sort of one person in the crowd for his to be the source of the target for his frustration. There's this one particular lady, and I think in the end he says that he's complaining to the umpire, and the umpire says, "Who's that? Who's that you're talking about? The one over there, the one that looks like she's had about 600 pints." Does he say?
Yeah,
something like that. Yeah. So it's funny, but it's also kind of, you know, a bit jarring for the Wimbledon final as well, I think.
Yeah, but 700 drinks. And then, of course, she ends up suing him. She ends up taking legal action against him. And I think there was an out-of-court settlement. I don't know if a part of that settlement was him sending her 700 drinks as well. I think that would have been great. If there was an out-of-court settlement, say for $50,000 plus 701 drinks, one as a little extra compensation, and Nick will be round as well to join in, and we'll do a nice little photo opportunity for the British tabloids as well. Listen, Nick Kyrgios, I have found him go from actually quite amusing with asking the crowd where to serve, you know, high-fiving members of the crowd. I remember in Washington, I found that lovely, and I think it's amusing, and the tweeners and the underarm serves, great. It has deteriorated, though, for me for the last couple of years. And now, at times, I think, you know, I remember speaking to some people recently about the Tsitsipas match. And by the way, I'm not a traditionalist. I'm fine with different characters and moving the sport onwards, especially if it's in the right direction. But some people were saying to me about matches of the year, and one or two people mentioned the Tsitsipas match at Wimbledon. I'm sorry, but all of the other palaver, including the post-match comments from Nick Kyrgios, were sort of bully-esque. And for somebody who's rightly and understandably spoken about really important issues such as depression in sport and sensitivities and stuff, and understanding and being empathetic, I thought that his comments in the post-match press conference and some of his actions on the court that day, and from Tsitsipas too, with whacking the ball into the crowd, were, well, they're not befitting either of this alternative look at the year. So let's move on. I have one or two more to get to, and I know we've only got 10 minutes left. What have we got? Oh yeah, outfits. There's I've got some different images here of Andreescu, who had an issue with her outfit. Basically, it seemed to be falling apart and she asked to go and take to see if she could, change it. I think there may have been a slight bit of disagreement as well with the umpire, where I think the umpire was doing as umpires love to do, was basically saying, "Sorry, I'm not sure if you can do that." Anyway, so there she is, obviously saying, and the reason is it just wasn't fitting. And then afterwards, she's like, "Oh, but I really love Nike." And I think she's sort of trying to say, "Look, this is don't paint this as me and Nike having a fallout." But there were other outfits as well. We had some very unusual shorts from Adidas that looked like certain accidents had occurred on court. Adidas have had a particularly bad year with designs. I don't know if there's any kit designs that stood out for you or any kit moments.
I can't sort of think of any off the top of my head, to be honest, John. But yeah, it's not. I mean, have you ever had any kind of outfit problems when you've been playing?
No, I haven't. But I've just thought of something else, which is Barbara Krejcikova was wearing basically the same outfit for about a year, so much so that there was a Twitter account which was like, has Barbora Krejcikova changed her kit yet this year? And like, has she changed her kit today? No. Has she changed her kit today? No. It was one of those accounts. Which
okay, like that has Maran Cilic won today.
Has Maran Cilic won, and this is the kit that she seemed to wear for the best part of about 18 months. It felt like, anyway. And there was, I've also noticed with Maran Cilic, by the way, him wearing the same kit pretty much all year long. And maybe there's something to be said for it, but it was quite amusing. One or two more. I've got one or two more in the next sort of 7 minutes or so. What else have we got on my screen here? Pelka, no, tick. Krejcikova, tick. Bianca, tick. Maybe we are at the end of. I've got some celebrations. Djokovic code violation. Forgiving. Oh yeah, Djokovic getting a code violation a few weeks ago. I think it was in Astana, but maybe people below in the comment section can correct me if I'm wrong. He got a code violation for giving a kid his racket.
Oh wow, okay.
What's going on with the umpires? I am on your side 99% of the time. When you've got Zverev aiming a weapon at you, basically using the racket, I'm with you. When you've got Djokovic in your, when you've got Kyrgios in your ear again, but 1% of the time they do make some odd moves, and I don't know where the rule book is that suggests giving a kid a tennis racket is a code violation.
Yeah, it's almost like they almost kind of panic, and then they're probably thinking in their head, "God, I've made the wrong decision, but I can't go back here. I can't say no, it's all right now. It's okay." It'd look even stupider, wouldn't they?
There's no doubt somewhere in the rule book where it suggests that may well be the case, and someone, no doubt, after this video will say they'll be looking up right now, and they'll be looking retrospectively, and they'll find somewhere in the rule book that suggests that shouldn't happen. But that's unusual. The music being played at the O2 Arena for the end of the Rafa Roger doubles match. I think there was some comments there. The music was great. I forget who the artist was now. Everybody seemed to be a bit perplexed. There was all this emotion on the court, and then there's some sort of teeny sort of bopping song going on, and you got Rafa and Roger there sort of like nodding their heads, and you're thinking, Roger, by the way, sent a tweet the following day, something along those, "Oh, it was great to see you play, blah, blah, blah." But most people on social media, at least, I remember Scott going, "This is all a bit weird."
Yeah. And there was also the I don't know, at the Turin ATP finals as well. They had, I can't remember who was playing, but someone went up to serve, and all of a sudden their like sit down music started playing as well as they were about to serve.
Yeah, right. By the way, you mentioned, or we both mentioned, sort of the YouTube channels. Some people may be thinking alternative parts of the year has been a recent development on Talking Tennis with the news clips. And I've been trying to do on a sort of serious note, and I sort of stay backstage and I just read out the news. Well, let me just tell you, Jamie was suggesting maybe a little bit of a bloopers thing. Well, this happened to me recently. Fernando Verdasco. You twat.
By the way, just to clarify, John, that wasn't aimed at Fernando Verdasco, is it?
Exactly. I was thinking that as well. Nothing to do with Fernando. Oh no, Fernando's not coming on the show either now. Fernando, don't get this wrong. Don't get this wrong. We love you. We would love to have you on. And we could even have a chat about that Aussie Open semi-final against Rafa. Or maybe we shouldn't talk about that either from his perspective. Listen, Jamie, it's been great having you on. 50 minutes of pure gold, I think. So many funny moments from this year, controversial, different, alternative, as I said in the title. And here's for plenty more in 2023, although plenty more of funny outfits maybe from Adidas or surreal retirements. I'm okay with that. But non-entries into countries, I think I'm done with that one. But I'm sure Twitter will find a way of getting angry about something in 2023.
Yeah, non-entries, no from us. I'd say retirements as well in general, probably a no from us. We want people to carry on for as long as possible, right, John?
Yeah, Venus, keep going until your 60s. Fernando Verdasco, definitely keep going. We love you, and we would love to have you on someday. But maybe no more retirements and no more non-entries into countries. Jamie, I'm going to say thank you to you again for stopping by.
Absolutely, yeah. Thanks for having me, John. It's been good fun as always.
Okay, well, we'll try and destroy that in 2023 by making sure it's not always fun, but we'll see if we can disrupt that. Listen, no, but seriously, thanks for coming on, Jamie. And to the rest of you, thanks for stopping by. I'm going to be leaving us with this little promotion thing. Oh, look, JG's getting involved here. JG, Mr. I love to misinterpret things as much as possible, and he by the way, yesterday he said, "Oh yeah, typical journalist," and he was aiming that in my direction. And then I left all this evidence to suggest actually the journalist here for once is being accurate. But JG, I think maybe he's more on the Riley Opelka side of the fence, let's say. We'll continue this off air. Listen, Jamie, thanks for coming on board, and we're going to leave you with a nice little promo for some of the things we've got coming up in the next week or two on Talking Tennis. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit that like button. Don't forget to subscribe and click that notification bell so you don't miss out on all things tennis.